Marie. Now, there are moments in life that you know, even while they are happening, that you will carry them for the rest of your days. This was one of those moments. I was standing in the middle of Arrow's Bombolon in East Kingston on a Saturday night with one red stripe beer in my hand that I had been nursing since 9 o'clock. It was now past midnight. The same beer. Now I want Unu to understand I was not there to drink. I was there to make sure Trevor could see me at all times. So he would know I was all right, that I was comfortable, that I was not about to turn around and walk quietly back to Pembroke Hall on my own 2 feet, which had crossed my mind more than once, more than twice, more than I cared to admit. But then Desmond dropped a tune on Redeem King Sound. And the crowd, Lord have mercy, the crowd went somewhere I had never seen people go before. Jumping, shouting, arms in the air, complete strangers becoming the best of friends in the space of 8 bars of music. And I forgot about going home. I forgot about everything because something about that music reached into my chest and rearranged things quietly. Things I didn't even know needed rearranging. Ha 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 ha. Me say media. A countrywoman from Portland standing in East Kingston at midnight. One red stripe in hand, fan going 10 to the dozen, rubbing her nose from the smoke rising from cigarettes, from the jerk pan outside, from the heat of hundreds of people all alive in the same place at the same time. Nobody warned me about this. Not one soul prepared me for Arrow's Bombolon, and honestly, no amount of warning would have been Arrow's enough. Bombolon. This took 2 full weeks of negotiation, patient, persistent negotiation. And in the end, the intervention of Miss Lou. Trevor had been asking me since Monday, every single evening at dinner, without fail. Marie, come to the clash. Come and see what Redeem King can do. Come and see what we built together. Every evening I said no, politely, firmly, with a full set of very good reasons. Then one evening, Miss Lou knocked. She came in, sat herself down at my kitchen table, adjusted her house coat, and put down her teacup. Now Unu know what that means by now. When Miss Lou puts down the teacup, something very serious is about to be said. She looked at me straight and said, Miss Marie, go with your man. I said, Miss Lou, go with your man. But Mark can stay with me. Miss Lou, are you truly certain? She picked up her cup again. I raised 4 children and buried 1 husband. I think I can manage 1 6-year-old for 1 Saturday night. Mark looked up from his drawing. Miss Lou, you're going make greater cakes? Miss Lou looked at him carefully. If you behave yourself, Mark closed his notebook, put down his pencil, folded his hands on the table like a man concluding a very important piece of business. I will behave. And just like that, with Mark's full cooperation secured through the promise of greater cakes, I was going to Arrow's Bombolon. Trevor was so happy, he nearly tripped over himself getting ready. God help us all. Trevor was a completely different man driving to East Kingston that night. Quiet, focused, the way a man gets when something that truly matters to him is about to be tested in front of people who know the difference between something good and something great. He told me about each sound on the way. Ray, symbolic hi-fi. Fat Joe as the selector, Big Joe round the mic. Ray symbolic, been in this a very long time, Marie. Them know every trick in DI book, every tune, every way to nice up the place. Sir John's, the president, Flux as the selector, echo round the mic. Sir John ran a very tight ship, disciplined, experienced, every move calculated, very dangerous opponent. Soul Attorney Sound, DD as the selector. Ja Mike's Round the Mic. Trevor said that name with something close to reverence. Ja Mike's, that man was blessed with something not everybody receives. His voice could hold a crowd before the first record even plays. Pure God-given gift. I listened carefully to every word. Then I said, "And Rhythm King, Trevor, what about your sound?" He glanced at me with that quiet smile, the one he saves for moments when words are not quite enough. Desmond plays music that reaches people in a place no words can find. And tonight, the whole of East Kingston going find that out again. We turned into Arrow's Bombo Lawn, and the bass hit me in the chest before the gate even opened. Deep, rolling, certain, like the earth warming up for something serious. Trevor looked at me. "You ready, Marie?" I straightened myself, lifted my chin. "Drive, Trevor." He laughed from his belly, and we went inside. Each sound played for 30 minutes, giving the crowd their very best and keeping everyone on their feet, dancing and sweating. The next rounds would last for 10 minutes each. Then came the final showdown. Each sound would play just one song, their strongest selection of the night. The sound whose song received the loudest response from the crowd was clearly declared the winner. When the judges called Rhythm King Sound the winner of Arrow's Bombo Lawn, $1,000 and the crown of East Kingston. The roar from that crowd lifted something into the night that I felt in my whole body. Trevor had me off the ground before I even knew he had moved. That big, genuine laugh filling everything around us. And I laughed with him from somewhere deep and real. Desmond stood at his controls, still, calm, a small, private smile. The smile of a man who knew exactly what he had done. Driving home as the sun found Kingston, I thought about my grandmother. She used to say, "Every man have him altar Chile. Some find it in a church, some find it somewhere else, but every man is reaching for the same thing in him own language." That night at Arrow's Bombo Lawn, with my one red stripe and my fan and rubbing my nose from the smoke, I finally understood Trevor's language, and I finally saw his altar. We found Miss Lou and Mark asleep in the living room. Empty plate between them that had clearly once held greater cakes. Trevor looked at them and whispered, "I owe that woman for the rest of my natural life." I covered Mark with a blanket, left Miss Lou's tea warm beside her, and went to bed, still smelling like that Kingston night. Only time people say, when music touch your soul, you're never the same again. I was not the same.